AI,
Yes.
artificial intelligence, friend or foe?
Um, so in my personal opinion, I think we should treat it as a friend. It's here, it's been around, we've been using it, but I would say artificial intelligence gives us the ability to do things differently. If I'm making a decision and I can factor in all the 100 factors without having to do what I used to do, I can make better decisions to impact more people. There's an environmental risk and we're gonna have to solve that. I also think we're probably gonna have to use AI to solve it because if I can analyze the data very, very fast, I can figure it out. But just in its like a very practical on the ground, we built an AI chatbot for BTS and it gives entrepreneurs the ability to ask questions and get connected to each other, whether they're in the room or not in the room. It was a pilot that we didn't know what would happen. 2,000 people have been regularly using it without it being front face, having conversations. People have gotten hired, they've gotten jobs, they found each other.
Wow.
I was once in Ann Arbor and a guy was like, I got hired from somebody off your platform. Then I was in Pontiac and they're like, somebody in Ann Arbor called us. They said they needed a 3D company, 3D printing company, and we got hired. Now we're doing this consulting piece. Another founder got a job from Adidas. And all of those things happened bigger than our human capacity. And I'm like, it helps us anchor our genius. When you go to that same chatbot, it tells you resources and who to talk to. Those are things that we can all start to use. AI is this piece that I think our communities have to have access to because right now, what does happen when it comes to technology, if we don't adopt it, if we don't use it, it arbitrarily gets used against us. And so we have to understand it so that way we can at least have a concept of what's happening in the world around us.
Welcome to the Better Things Podcast, where Detroit's change makers and boldest voices come together for authentic conversations. We highlight people who are building businesses, shaping culture, and driving progress one neighborhood and one voice at a time. I'm Diallo Smith, the president and CEO of Life Remodeled, and today we're diving deep into the heart of the city to hear directly from those who are forecasting and shaping its future. Today, I'm here with Johnnie Turnage, co-founder of Black Tech Saturdays. This organization is building the nation's leading network for tech founders, builders, and innovators right here in Detroit. Let's get into it. Johnnie Turnage, one half of the co-founding group partnership that is Black Tech Saturdays. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited about this conversation. It's been a long time coming.
Yes.
I know you and I, we've probably had thousands of conversations. I wish we would recorded half of them, right? Because I think we came up with some good ideas. But before we get started, I always start off by asking this. You're from the area, lived here a long time. What is your favorite or most memorable Detroit neighborhood moment?
Ooh, man, that's such a good question. All right, I'm gonna go with two because I'm biased. I am an East Sider. I was actually born at Old Riverview Hospital on Jefferson, and I grew up literally going to Bella every day because we could walk across the bridge from our house. And I think those moments I treasure because when we moved away from Detroit, I did not realize how lucky we were to have an island in our backyard.
An island,
a little island.
Yeah.
And at times I've lived in Oakland and Macomb County, and you're really spoiled when you have an island that is Belle Isle that travel a lot of places. You can just go on Belle Isle and enjoy. We didn't have a lot of money, but you can go to Belle Isle for free and get a lot of value out of it.
Yeah. So Black Tech Saturdays. I'm just gonna run off some statistics because people have to hear this. So from what I've heard you say and from folklore, from 5 to thousands.
Yes.
So it started with just 5 people in a conference room in early 2023. It's exploded into a community that averages 500 to 600 or more attendees whenever you have your events. Since its inception, the movement, and I think I can qualify it as a movement, it's impacted tens of thousands of people through its sessions and digital network. And then some of the participants have secured more than 10 million in funding and launched startups that have created hundreds of new jobs.
Yes.
So it's interesting because this has all happened within 3 years. You just celebrated your 3-year anniversary not too long ago, right?
Literally, we actually will be 3 years old April 29th of this month.
April 29th. So it's interesting because people ask me all the time, hey, have you heard about Black Tech Saturdays? Even when I'm certainly within the city, but also outside of the city too. And the way I describe it, I'm kind of dating myself here a little bit, is those old school Camaros back in the 80s and the 90s that, the top was off and you had 218s in the back and the block was just shaking, right? That's how I would describe Black Tech Saturdays. Like you have engineered, you and Alexa have engineered something in which is caused a positive
Yes.
disruption, and the blocks are just shaking with good vibes and anticipation of the future. But for you, just talk a little bit about that five to thousands and what were some of the
Yeah.
milestones that have happened across the 3 years.
Yeah. For me, I think the first exciting milestone is our city of Detroit, our new mayor has actually really stepped behind the tech ecosystem. When we started, a part of the inception of Black Tech Saturdays was there were a lot of great builders who didn't feel seen and supported. And I know, we have highlights, founders who raise money, but there is something special when the mayor comes to a startup event to launch a startup fund, but she knows the founders by name. She knows what they're building. She knows how those solutions apply to the city. And I think that's powerful. There are not a lot of cities where the mayor is behind and the founders feel that type of access where the government wants to be a catalyst. It's hard to build a business. We know that the numbers are there. It's hard to be Black in tech. It's hard to build in tech, especially outside of the coast. But that is a huge win for us. I don't think we had that before. I'd say another just like really exciting win is there is a founder. If you don't know Justin Turk's name, Justin Turk recently transitioned out of his first startup, and in less than a year, has already raised over $1 million for his second startup and built a team and just growing. It was too hard to do that before. In that transition time, usually a founder, what I used to see is a founder disappear for a year or more before they could restart and get going. And I'm like, the culture around people being able to transition to fail fast and shift quickly, I think has changed. And those are two big things for me that I go, that's what it has to be. When you're starting a business, you need the grace to try things. You need the grace for things not to work out to the grandest vision and to keep going. And I think we're starting to impact that culture. And I'll end because I could go on. The last one is we do this thing every year called Youth Tech Fest,
Yes.
which was really a happy accident. Like we sometimes will throw spaghetti at the wall and say, we're gonna do this without knowing how big or what that means. And in 2 years, we've had just over 3,000 students who come to a full day engagement into youth tech. And I know it's one day, but the exciting part is the partners that it touches, the people we bring into the space and what they do after. This past year, we had about 26 different schools. Life Remodel was there. And having the clubs of youth have let me know the youth in the city are actually far more tech curious or tech ready than I thought. And so it's like all the energy and mindset we had around BTS was this one archetype. And now there are these young people who are like, we're ready to build and make money. So let's figure that out. And I think for me, seeing the culture get past that, deep into those generations, it's really exciting.
So you talked a lot about the founders and the ecosystem that exists here in the city. I'm gonna try something here that I've never done before. All right, but I think you and I can appreciate good music and good artists. So this is a quote from Jay-Z from off his latest album 444, and the last song was called Legacy. Right, and he's talking about just what the future of our society can be. And he said this. He said, "We're going to start a society within a society that's major, just like the Negro Leagues. There was a time where America wouldn't let us ball. Those times are now back. It's now called Afrotech." Right? So there's so many different ways we can go with that. But I think one of the things that he's trying to call out is the back when there was not a permission set for African Americans to play in Major League Baseball.
Correct.
There was a Negro League that we formed.
Yes.
But as time goes on, many of those incredible baseball players, and some who have not even been recognized now, when allowed, entered into Major League Baseball and totally transformed the game. So when you think about some of our tech founders now, there's just incredible statistics where a very small percentage, 0.4 of total VC funding, goes towards venture capital funding, goes towards Black and brown founders. And on scale, we say that's 730 million. That's a lot, but the total is 182.5 billion, right?
Right.
So of that 182.5 billion, just 730 million went to Black tech founders. But I wanted to talk about just some of the barriers that you have seen for Black tech startup founders.
Yes.
And what do you see as the solution sets to kind of create more people to be able to enter into that field?
Yeah. So I'll try to stay really focused. I think common and the barrier top of line is access to capital, but the reason for why there's an access to capital is it's access to network. You don't have inherent generational wealth. You don't have people who can independently put the money at the beginning of the game. So like when it comes to getting that capital before you go to a big investor, angel money, patient capital that can let you see if I can get to that first sale, it is much harder for us to do it. I think we spend sometimes 2 to 3 years before we get to that mark, meaning you have to have 2 to 3 years of being able to figure it out for almost no money before your startup can get going if you're trying to scale like high growth tech. Access to mentorship, having not just someone who wants to be a mentor, but people who know the game. Like I've been blessed to have the types of mentors where we sit in conversations and they independently could give me $100,000 to make it happen. But then they have 5 other friends who are like, who can do that. And I'm like, that's what helped us early on in our journey. Most founders don't have access to that. It is very hard. And even because of how hard it is, the people that we usually get into relationships that have that, they're a little slower to move there. It's not the same journey to say, here's money. I'm like, you still have to go through these hurdles. And the other part is if you're not building in the coast as a Black or brown founder, the number of startups around you who've done it, it's not prevalent. In Detroit, we don't have a ton of examples of unicorns. It's not all over the news. So everyone else who's not in that tech or startup ecosystem is kind of like an outsider, kind of sort of looking in, but oftentimes they're not aware of it. In 2023, we had a startup in downtown raise $20 million, and it was like, it didn't hit the news. It wasn't a Black company, but the fact that in this ecosystem, someone raises $20 million and it's not big news, in Silicon Valley, they talk about it all the time. So the kids grow up dreaming of, I'm gonna hit that mark. The startup founders know, I'm gonna go talk to Diallo. He just raised $20 million. Maybe he can share something. Diallo is hosting something at a coffee shop. Our access to people who've gotten to like success is so, there's such a gap. It's harder. And a big part of what I think like helps closes that gap is we have to help startups get closer to people who can do that investment capital, but we have to help the people who aren't in tech and startups understand what that means. Understand I could use these technical things to solve my problems. Understand, oh man, if one of these companies has a pop, I mean, Duo Security was a unicorn here in Michigan. When they exited, they created intentionally 50 millionaires. One Black tech startup exiting in Detroit, creating 50 other millionaires, puts us on par with what Coleman A. Young did when he was mayor. He created Black millionaires. That helped build essentially the middle class.
So I mean, essentially, when you think about the future of the city, and particularly as we think about infusing technology as an industry set, we're not just talking about a couple of dollars. We're talking about something that can transform the economic viability of the entire city.
Yes, to even plus one that for every like one high growth tech job, I think the proportion is it creates 5 other non-tech jobs when you create that. And so I think we have to think about tech as, yes, it's an industry, but the ripple effect, because tech is a through line through everything. It's through quality of life, our health, our enjoyment, how people get information, the number of businesses that are in Detroit that are killing it that people just don't know about. And it comes down to access to technology. Because if you zoom out, 40% of Detroit doesn't have access to high-speed internet. So think about how many businesses that are probably killing it on social, and their customers who would be loyal fans, they're not that engaged because they're not that plugged into all the digital tools.
So one of the things I want to recognize, I think is unique and should be celebrated, is you're not doing this alone. You're doing it with your wife, your best friend, just as a couple. Founder and also a business partner. What is every day like for you two?
So one, I do have the privilege to run Black Tech Saturdays with Alexa, who's usually right next to me. But it's really fun. Alexa and I's relationship really formed and started as like us working on projects. And I always say BTS would not be BTS without Alexa. Case in point, the first time we went to have a gathering, April 29th, 2023, I was just gonna make a LinkedIn post and leave a Google form, and she said, we need a graphic. And so I think there's something special when you have a partner who hears your idea and instantly goes, and here's what will make sense to like everybody else. And she does a good job of translating to me where I might have blinders because of my perspective, but BTS works because of, I think, her magic. Day to day, it's fun. We I will be honest, we got to work on this, but we start every day and end every day talking about BTS in some way. And I think it's because we're in founder mode and we're like, we want to set it up a certain way so the team can do more and we can do more. But it's fun because we get to take on challenges, we get to connect with people. And you have to fail a lot when you're building something. You have to fail a lot when you're building in public like BTS. And so you have somebody to fail with. And at the end of the day, when I'm like, want to do 15 things today, I only got 13. You have someone who goes, well, you got 13 things done, instead of letting you get lost in the 2 you didn't get done.
Yeah. Well, shout out to Alexa. She's a powerhouse in her
Sure
own
is.
right. I wanna peel the layers back because you talked about something that I thought was pretty important. I just want to contextualize this for our audience who are neighborhood residents.
Yes.
Have a passion for their neighborhood. They want to see their neighborhood thrive. And we do too.
Yeah.
You and I, we've had conversations about being unapologetic that in order for our neighborhoods to blossom,
Yes.
technology adoption has to be a big part of that.
100%.
But one of the observations that I've seen about just technology broadly is that, in theory, technology is for all.
Correct.
But many times in practice, it's not for all,
Yes.
it's for some. And that could be for a lot of different reasons. But in just some casual conversations that I have with community members, young people and the like, it's almost sometimes this distance between, that technology stuff that's for somebody else.
Correct.
Right. It's that's not for me. And or quite frankly, sometimes an antithetical relationship. We are in a manufacturing-based town, right? And so when people think about technology and innovation, for some, they think, that took my dad's job,
Yep.
right? Or that got me laid off. So when you think about what the future can be for the city, particularly for our neighborhood residents who are maybe not tech founders,
Right.
How do you see the necessity of that gap being filled in order for the city to flourish?
Yeah, so I'll start with this. I think mass tech adoption is a vehicle for economic mobility. I think when people have access to digital tools, digital skills, they can do more. If not to be a builder, even to be a customer. Anytime that you can use technology to save time in your life, that's what we've always done. And I always boil it back to, let's go way back before all of us when we first got fire. And then think about what fire did. Then we got electricity and how fast that sped. And then we got computers and Wi-Fi, and think about what that has done. Our communities don't always adopt technology because technology and innovation adopted moves through trust. So if you don't have trusted messengers, if you don't have people who are rooted in the community, we're like, let's explore this. Let's not think about technology and how you hear about it on the news or how they're doing it states away. What's happening in this community that we can actually either solve a problem, we can add efficiencies, we can give somebody back quality of life. Think about what we've done in Detroit specifically when it comes to just housing. Adding little pieces of technology to understand how many houses do we have here. I think it was 2012, 2011, where we just sent people with cameras to go take pictures of all the houses.
Yeah.
That was an innovative way to use technology. So, all right, can we have just a database of what's going on? Imagine neighborhoods thinking about what are the problems that we deal with every day, every year that we've been trying to get over, whether it's youth education, quality of life. We're seeing a lot with just air and air quality. I'm like, neighborhoods taking back their narrative. I think they just had a big $100 million win because they had air quality monitoring data and they were able to hold the company accountable. I think that's what it starts to look like. I think it gives us a vehicle to expose to more opportunities. We talk about manufacturing. We do what we know. If we don't have people who are doing technology, not just building it, working in it, using it, I pick everywhere I eat based on Google proximity. I never think about it. I'm like, where am I? It's eating time. What's within this range? Here's how far I'm willing to travel. It's just a decision I don't have to make, but a lot of people don't do that. I've been out with people who they really just, I know this place is open. I'm like, well, now you're waiting 2 hours.
Yeah.
The advent of how many of our restaurants, our businesses that we love in Detroit, adding online ordering, increasing their sales from people who maybe can't just walk in. I think all of our neighborhoods can benefit from some form, and it's not always so complicated. It's just a thin layer of innovation on top of what we're really doing. My background's in community organizing, and here's what we have been able to do using like what was grassroots organizing or always a pen and paper method and adding layers of technology. That's how you go with 5 people. Our team at BTS is like 5 people. That's how we can reach so much and do so much, because we take the concepts of grassroots organizing and add digital tools to scale it. And I think neighborhoods can do that very well.
You know, what's interesting in that is that just within the history of African Americans broadly,
Yes.
we've had incredible technologists who have added value not only to African American communities, but to the globe, right? I mean, I think about Garrett Morgan with the traffic lights, right? I mean, how inventive and world changing was
Literally
that?
saved so many lives.
Exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. Imagine a world without traffic lights.
Right.
Or you talked about Google using that for food orders, but I'm sure most people use GPS,
Yes.
right? And many people don't know that the inventor of GPS was an African American woman, right? So there's so
Yes.
many things that are layered within the
Hmm.
African American, and even within the city of Detroit proper, right?
Right.
I think that we are one of, if not the most innovative city in the world.
Yeah.
And many of our communities have added to that. I'm going to put you on the spot here and
Hmm.
ask a question. AI, artificial intelligence, friend or foe?
Um, so in my personal opinion, I think we should treat it as a friend. It's here, it's been around, we've been using it, but I would say artificial intelligence gives us the ability to do things differently. If I'm making a decision and I can factor in all the 100 factors without having to do what I used to do, I can make better decisions to impact more people. There's an environmental risk and we're gonna have to solve that. I also think we're probably gonna have to use AI to solve it because if I can analyze the data very, very fast, I can figure it out. But just in its like a very practical on the ground, we built an AI chatbot for BTS and it gives entrepreneurs the ability to ask questions and get connected to each other, whether they're in the room or not in the room. It was a pilot that we didn't know what would happen. 2,000 people have been regularly using it without it being front face, having conversations. People have gotten hired, they've gotten jobs, they found each other.
Wow.
I was once in Ann Arbor and a guy was like, I got hired from somebody off your platform. Then I was in Pontiac and they're like, somebody in Ann Arbor called us. They said they needed a 3D company, 3D printing company, and we got hired. Now we're doing this consulting piece. Another founder got a job from Adidas. And all of those things happened bigger than our human capacity. And I'm like, it helps us anchor our genius. When you go to that same chatbot, it tells you resources and who to talk to. Those are things that we can all start to use. AI is this piece that I think our communities have to have access to because right now, what does happen when it comes to technology, if we don't adopt it, if we don't use it, it arbitrarily gets used against us. And so we have to understand it so that way we can at least have a concept of what's happening in the world around us. There is a school in Houston, I know it's really early, but they've been using AI to try to make custom education plans for their students to how do we help the students who are at the bottom part of the class come up? Because maybe everything we teach everybody doesn't work. Maybe they need a custom plan. I am a student that always got special treatment because until about fifth grade, probably third grade, I was a special case. I really couldn't sit still. So I needed to be pulled to the side, and I happened to have a teacher who had a helper who could do that. That's not always the case. So imagine being able to give someone a custom plan with extra homework.
Wow. So for our listeners out there, and I'll use, she's not going to like this, but I'll use my mother as an example. I was talking to her one day about. So I think you know that my son is a software engineer
Yes.
for a large tech firm in San Francisco, and that's what he does, right? He creates algorithms that feed into this particular product that funnels the artificial intelligence. So it was Thanksgiving dinner. We were talking about it, and my mother's like, "Oh my gosh, no! Today, say it isn't so, grandson. You're destroying the world.
No.
AI is going to take it all over." And so they had this fun little debate. But for people like that who are either in their mind just fearful because they
Yes.
don't understand, or people who are curious and want to know what are just maybe three simple things that your average person can do to learn how to use AI, artificial intelligence, a little bit better in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah. So the first thing I would say, and this comes to how people typically adopt innovation or tech, talk to someone you trust who's already using it. Before you think about using a platform or there, just talk to somebody you trust and ask them what they're using AI for. Some of my favorite applications have been people who use AI to build their grocery lists because it'll do budget. I only have $100. I'm going to this store in this city. It'll put the pricing in the plan so it can tell you how to plan your meals. But talking to someone you trust is like the most helpful way to figure out how you tinker in it. The second is if you have a smartphone, if you have any piece of technology, it's probably already using AI. And so just thinking about like, if you have Facebook right now, Facebook AI is everywhere. Meta AI is infused. Realize that you're interacting with it. So
Anyway,
you're already interacting with it. And the next is what are the problems that you deal with like every day? Open up any AI browser and just list those problems and have it propose solutions. Some of the thing is just what can you do to take to get your time back. The first thing I did when I introduced my mom to AI was, what are you spending the most time at your job dealing with? I'm only going to show you how to do that. And she's like, every now and then I get asked to do these one-off graphics. Not really my cup of tea. Showed her how to do a couple of things, built some templates. Now they're like, she's like, oh wow. I was like, whatever your least favorite things are, get that to AI. You want to spend your heart energy, your joy, doing the fun work. And so at the very least, if you have a way to get the stuff you need to get done without having to give it your joy, I think that's where AI gets to help us in there. One of my favorite, Morgan DeBon, she's the founder of Afrotech. She just released a breakdown on how she uses Claude to track her mommy schedule. So she never misses a thing for her kids. When they say I have a homework or a concert, it helps her keep her mind focused to be present for her kids all the time. But she's got 2 businesses here she's running, which are very large. But not missing a pickup schedule, being able to communicate with nannies, and like having the household chores in there, it's given her, I think, a peace of mind to not have to be there. She's a new mom with 2 businesses. That's really hard.
You probably helped 1,000 people be able to transform their lives just by that piece of advice. So I want to take it out a little bit more.
Of course.
Regional, the city broadly. So I I can remember attending one of the Black Tech Saturday events, and we were leaving out, right? And but for those who haven't gone, it's an incredible experience. Lots of fun, great content, great conversation, great opportunities to network with other people, but also great music, right? So the DJ was playing at the end. He played "What We Do" by Freeway, and I'm like, wow, this is like one of the most cultural, deep, enriching experience in technology that I've ever heard. But I thought about that juxtaposition, right? So for those who are familiar, so Freeway, Benny Siegel and Jay-Z back in the early 90s came out with a song called What We Do. And the premise is that because they're struggling with just their economic vitality, they're making decisions, or they feel they need to make decisions that's going to be able to compensate for that. So I thought about that in the fact that we're all leaving out, but we just heard incredible advice and conversations on how to accelerate our economic mobility. And so, I think about that in this quote that I heard you make. You said Detroit is not trying to become Silicon Valley. Detroit is trying to become the first major American city that builds a tech ecosystem from the inside of its most underserved communities outwards. That has never been done at scale, which means that the model Detroit builds, if it works, is worth more than Detroit. This vision of Detroit becoming a tech hub.
Right.
Talk a little bit about, one, what is a tech hub, right? Because we've heard that used in different ways. And then 2, let's say that comes true. Let's say many of our most underserved communities adopt technology at scale.
Right.
And we're able to see an influx of ideas, inventions, etc. What does that world look like for the city of Detroit, and how can we get there?
Yeah. So I'll start first. When I think of a tech hub, I don't think I limit my definition to a single physical space. I think when we think about hubs of technology, they're regions. They're like large geographic areas. Silicon Valley isn't even a single place. It's actually quite a large area. We're referencing where you could be in the Bay, you could be directly in San Francisco. It's a swath. And I think about when we think about what a tech hub is in those regions, it's an area that there's a large number of people who are willing to have an appetite for risks. They're going to start something, they're going to invest in something, they're willing to take a chance on, I might even try something. If we think about Detroit moving to being a tech hub, we have more people who will start something, invest in something, and try something. That means everybody has either a builder, a customer, a trial. That helps. And we have a good way of connecting across beyond those innovators to the trusted messengers. And the trusted messengers get that information out. When you think about what Detroit has an opportunity for, we have 7 city council districts. Over the next couple of years, we'll actually have institutions in each one of those council districts that get to be the anchors for those communities. When those anchors come together, they actually make what is the tech hub, because now people can move through it. Maybe you go to a Michigan Central because you're really focused on mobility. Maybe you go to a UMCI because you're really focused on AI. And maybe you're in a neighbor tech hub because you're really focused on like what the neighborhood problem is and what jobs they're trying to anchor. I think the tech hub gives us an identity of we just have a lot of people willing to engage with innovation. When that tech hub is realized and not just single spaces, but people can move through it. Because what does help in Silicon Valley is no one's ever actually denied. After going to LA Tech Week last year, I was like, actually, it's a pretty eclectic group of people and it's a wide stretching range. I think that really helps. But when we get there, what it means is their businesses, they're growing, but there are people working in the businesses and then there are businesses around those businesses supporting it. So even if I'm not the tech founder, maybe I am that beautician. Well, I am supporting the overall tech industry in terms of what is happening there. I think it looks like a ton of jobs. If I said it earlier, but one high growth job equals 5 other jobs. So if we were to think of East Side 5 years from now, Anchor trains 250 people in tech. Well, then now we're looking at over 1,200 jobs in a concentrated area because we got to support it. If you got a couple of founders, I need my barber, I need my restaurant, I need this. And I think tech hubs and tech and innovation has to be considered a vehicle of prosperity. And that's what I'm starting to see more in Detroit. We want to lower the barrier. So I'm like, our youth. I met an 11-year-old in Atlanta who had a $1.6 million business. And I was like, I think there's some Detroit youth who could do that.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple things on social and some students who are running subscription pages. I'm like, they have the mindset. Detroit does hustle harder. We are a very special city because you start working very young. But when you apply tech and innovation at scale, it looks like removing the barriers of access to learning, to engaging. And it's going to take a lot, but we all have all the recipes. We just need the anchors that help people walk through a door and come out transformed, whether it's learning a skill, getting exposed to a thing, or figuring out how does their genius serve somebody. Because there are a lot of eclectic geniuses that aren't the typical mode of what you might think in tech, but they're making it work. And they are the geniuses that pull it up. I'll end on this. Anybody who's ever like built a unicorn didn't build it with a bunch of like heavy hitter all-stars who already knew what they were doing. Apple wasn't built with like people who were super, super established. They were weirdos who had skills and special talents that came together. When you think of what Doug did with Duo Security, one of his earliest hires was a video music producer. That's how Duo became like a $2 billion business because he had somebody who could make better videos. I know a lot of people in Detroit who can make better videos that should be in the first 10 employees of the next unicorn. And I think it's just acknowledging that we need a room for a creative hub, room for mobility, room to figure out our role in defense, room to figure out our role in health and sustainability, but room for people not to be shut out the door. Whether I live on the east side, the west side, I'm in downtown, or I'm on the edge of 8 Mile figuring out like, where do I fit?
So really quick, just want to send a shout out to our Life Remodel students at Future First at Denby High School. One of our students there, seniors, name is Michael, just received a scholarship to Olivet College to play esports. And so when I think about him and I think about others that are in that program, I think about them being the future of our city, but them being embracing technology or technology adjacent fields as being a big part of that. One last question before we go. So I always start with asking people about one of their favorite Detroit memories, and I always end it by asking this. So the Better Things, the name of this podcast, is a derivative of the inscription on the Detroit flag in Latin, which says, "We hope for better things." So what is one better thing that you're hoping for the city of Detroit?
One better thing I'm hoping for, I think I said it, I'm hoping to see every neighborhood, every city council district at the very least have its own technology anchor that the community can engage with. If I am partially correct on what we've seen with BTS, when people have a space where they belong, what they do next really unleashes the true genius. And I think there are a lot of people, we've touched a lot of people in Detroit as BTS. And I always say we can do more. I'm obsessed on it. If every neighborhood had that, and even if we all hit a fraction of it, I mean, Life Remodel serves 23,000 people annually. If 23,000 people annually in Detroit in every city council district are being exposed to technology, whether as a builder, a user, a potential worker, Detroit will quickly transform. And that's the better thing I'm hoping for. It's just those neighborhood anchors. Yes.
Johnny, brother, always great to talk to you. Feels like we just at a coffee shop, just chopping it up. But thank you for coming on, and shout out to Alexa. Even though she's not here, she's here in spirit.
Thank you.
Yes. Woo! Join us for future episodes of Better Things as we continue to have conversations with key voices across the city of Detroit. If you want to learn more about Life Remodel's mission, please go to liferemodeled.org. We'll see you next time.